All right, we're rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome back to X's for Show, your premier media response show. But of course, it's a Sunday night, so we're talking one thing. We're talking Drag Race. We have a whole lot to toot and boot about. I'm Nico, Nico Action, N-I-C-O-A-C-T-I-O-N.
I'm TK Accidental.
And that makes me Tori at SM Tori with an I.
Hi everyone, it's Jonah. You can follow me places at Big Jonah.
And that makes me a producer, Kevo. Kevo, really, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. But yeah, this week we are covering we're here, we're at the top 4. And like you said in the script, kind of a shock, a final elimination. We're all kind of in our feels about it.
You know, it's really funny because it is a shock and it's not a shock because end of the day, one of the things that came up this season a lot and then kind of this week, habam. Vegas, baby. And so, you know, it's not that there isn't Vegassery in the Sues, but I feel like she channeled the wrong passion. It was the passion of the yikes when she really needed the passion of the Christ.
Well, and there isn't Vegassery and Susie. There could be, but she admittedly was like, there's not. It really bummed me out because, early 20th century Vegas is a thing, and it could have been Susie's thing. Like there's, even to bump it up a little bit and go Rat Pack, like go more mid-century, more 50s era. Susie would have fit great there, and Susie in a traditional showgirl headdress for her ad or something like that, going like a little more old school Vegas, totally feasible.
That's kind of what I meant, that she could have done Vegas, but she did the wrong Vegas.
Well, and she didn't do Vegas at all. And she went into her interview and was like, I never dreamed of being in Vegas, which is such a bummer answer.
I've never heard of Las Vegas. Is it
what
new?
are you guys talking about? What are we doing here? Going Love Boat with it. Also a strange choice for a desert land. I don't know. I felt really bad because she just completely missed the mark. And I was saying to Tori, I would have loved for her to get the Ben de la Creme exit where it's like everybody did great this week. Somebody is technically the worst, the least scoring person, and therefore has to go home. That's always how I like a fifth to go out. Just like at a certain point, we do have to whittle it down to 5. And it was a bummer that for somebody who was so strong the whole time, this was the week that she stumbled.
I definitely agree. I think there's places where I was very surprised that Susie didn't rise to the challenge. I think that she literally, when she was asked by RuPaul, like, oh, has Vegas ever been on your dream board? And she was just like, no. Like that there's a way to do it. There's a way to make a joke of like, oh, this Sweeney may be Reno, but we're ready for Vegas, or like, oh, East Coast girls, we're all about New York or nothing. But my gosh, now that I've seen what Vegas can do for me, like there's all kinds of ways to spin that just feels like she got caught out in the same way that Jules got caught out, but Jules was able to spin hers into I'm young and I'm being vulnerable with I don't know what's next for me. And I think that Susie didn't quite hit that because I don't think there's a doubting bone in Susie's body. But I agree. I think that there can be a certain Vegasiness to her, but I also think that it's just one of those things where you either have to lie like you do on a job interview. Why do you want to work here? Because I want to pay my bills. Why do you want to work here? Because I believe in the vision of your paper company. Sure. And I think she just sort of biffed a lot of this stuff because it's not built for her. And I was very sad because I started to feel it coming and I was like, ugh. So I don't particularly think that the other girls outside of Jules gave more Vegas in theirs. I even think Lexi kind of wasn't quite the Vegas that they were looking for. I think.
And if I can, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. No, Kevo,
If I
please.
can keep on what you said about you felt it coming, this is also now the second week in a row where we kind of felt it coming based on Susie not really, I guess, feeling the challenge. And, you know, I love her, but I really do always question girls when they have those situations. What was your intent of coming on the show? Because you know what the show is, and the show's not going to change for you. It never has. You know the intention is going on tour with these girls, potentially going to Vegas. When girls aren't more familiar or better prepared, I'm always very surprised. And, you know, the willingness to not do your best for your game on the makeover challenge, followed by not really understanding what to do with the Vegas situation, especially this late in the game when they've clearly made Vegas such a big deal. I'm not surprised it came back up. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I also think that it was for me. I know that Latrice in this. I believe that she also has a management company. She manages a lot of the girls these days, and I think that it was a really smart way to go about it, as saying like these are the things that probably the show production is going to ask of you, or the talent management that you sign your life away on the contract for is going to ask you, what do you want to do if you win? You know, do you want to do Vegas? Do you want to get a book? Do you want to do a comedy tour? Do you want to start doing off-Broadway shows? Like, what do you want to do? And so I was really excited to see Latrice step into this role, even if it meant that we didn't quite get the Tic Tac lunch that we normally do for these.
It's all part, I think, of Root sort of letting other people take more on. But yeah, I love what you're saying, because the question they aren't asking that they're really asking is, what are you going to now do for the RuPaul machine that makes you worthy giving the crown to?
Yeah. What's going to make you money making us money?
Yes.
Yeah. Jonah, you watched with us, and I would love to know what were you feeling? What were you thinking? Because I know that like as we were watching it, you know, it's so funny because everybody, without anything, but everybody keeps being like, Vegas is one thing, but if Vegas were one thing, then there wouldn't be 150 different shows covering 150 different things. Like, there's literally country Vegas, and there's rockabilly Vegas, and the Michael Jackson show that runs in Vegas that is not the Broadway show and not the London show and not the touring show is very successful, despite being as Vegas as Susie Toot. So, like, I feel like, you know, JoJo, we've been there 3 times in like 6 months, and there was something so specific about what they weren't saying is be exactly Ru's showgirl, and I would love to get your take on sort of how it was handled.
I think it was a mix, because this challenge, I don't really think was even the best kind of challenge, but I do, you know, on further reflection, especially hearing Susie talk about her own elimination, she did miss the mark. I think she should have done showgirl by way of show tunes, as opposed to what Susie Toot normally does. It feels like she didn't know how to blend the 1920s musical theater aesthetic with the idea of Vegas, and I think that's where she was falling short. Now, I don't fully agree with the way the judges went about, like, the judges didn't really seem to be a fan of her aesthetic, which is fine. Her aesthetic isn't going to be for everybody. But to tell someone the last episode that were essentially you're branding them to be in the show, oh, we didn't want you to be you, we wanted you to be something else, it feels a little weird. And it's a little incongruous with that. Why would you?
Yeah, since when?
One, since when? But two, you've had multiple opportunities to tell her, hey, we need you to see you evolve this aesthetic. Hey, we need to see a different side of it, or a different whatever. And in the same vein of that, I want to say is they never tell a beautiful girl like Jules, you do something weird, do something creepy, do something spooky, be a Dracula ghoulie. It is only ever if someone doesn't follow a mainstream aesthetic that they say, we want to challenge you to do that, and it's great, but then challenge them to do something weird.
And I think that's part of something that I think I've harped on this a few times on the show, but the idea that I think RuPaul is still looking for a very specific kind of drag queen, and that you can have flavors and there's some room for margin of change and difference inside of there. But the main through line is still she's looking for her glamazon supermodel at the end of the day. She's imprinting what she finds her drag to be on the next group. And I feel like one of the way, we come back to, musical theater girlies don't do well on here, and everyone's like, well, there's always Jinx, and you can say that Jinx is the exception that proves the rule, but you can also say that Jinx spent her original season trying to show a glamorous version of what she's doing, and just kept, when she would get feedback, would just slide, keep further into glamazon on the runways, in her looks, as much as she could on her limited budget and what she brought, and then killing it in the challenges. Susie was killing it in the challenges and bringing very polished looks, but wasn't really showcasing that she was going to drift it back into the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, equator band.
So we're gonna have to start calling them the Tropic of USA.
Yeah.
but that's the thing. Like RuPaul is kind of looking for something that she can kind of brand under her brand. If you stray too far from it, sometimes it's harder and harder to get everybody to agree that this is the person that everybody wants to spend $250 to $400 on.
And part of where I am really curious about a dynamic here is it's something that Jonah brought up earlier when he mentioned that they say, all 8 minutes ago, when he mentioned that, it's sort of unusual that they're saying in the penultimate episode, don't be yourself to somebody, which, okay, all right. But then where is the line? Because we spend the whole season saying, be yourself, be who you are. And it feels not like what they was unhappy with what, I feel Susie turned out. But for me, I thought Jules did fine. I actually didn't think it was that great a Vegas ad. I didn't really think it sold anything. I thought it was kind of, for my money, a pretty standard drag queen TikTok. And it was just kind of like all the cute things I do when I'm standing at the bar with my girls playing. That didn't sell me on anything. And that's not an attack on her, because I just said they are things we all respect, do, like. But I don't think anybody really won this challenge. And I thought it was kind of a bummer because there was no identity given for the Vegas show. Often we get the dossier, we get the little rundown of what's going on. We saw no rehearsal for this song.
None. We saw nothing for this.
Yeah.
We saw nothing about the choreo. Kevo, me, and Jonah feel that it's probable that this is going to replace where the boys all do True American for 3 minutes and rip their clothes off, because right now I don't think anybody wants to see dongs to that. But
and it replace their little gift shop commercial that they have, which isn't really anything.
It actually goes right after the segment where they show the gift shop in a video in the show. So it actually kind of makes sense. It goes where it goes. But there was something about telling all the girls to behave, I guess, identifiably unlike themselves, except as yourself. Except not. I mean, it really was a thing where this was genre. You either fit or you didn't, and that was who was going home.
Yeah. And I think that's a very interesting thing to pull on on the basically the challenge finale of the season, because presumably are we getting a Lollapalooza next week? Yeah. Okay. So we're getting a Lollapalooza next week, and then we're going straight into the finale, which, even though we get a little more of the girls getting ready beforehand in it than we used to, now that it's in the studio, it's not we didn't have what would you say to young so and so, what is it about you that, I don't know. I felt like this wasn't a button on everything, and then we have the crowning, which is a celebration. It felt very untidy.
And if I can even build on that as well, it's not that it's not just that it didn't feel like a button. I feel like the last real episode and elimination we had was Lana in the monologue episode. And like we're all kind of saying, this in many ways, because of what the challenge was and because what we feel like Rue was looking for, this even felt inevitable too. So it feels like it's been forever since we've had a real episode of Drag Race. And then next week, I don't remember if they've confirmed specifically it's Lollapalooza, but it's what we at least think. But it's definitely not.
No,
the
they did.
So
At the end of the episode, they did confirm it.
Okay, yeah.
Because we did not
Yeah,
have that in our feed, and then we didn't have it at the end of our Untucked either. So like we
That's
could,
so weird.
and the there's no preview on YouTube either. So that's
Yeah,
why
I didn't see a preview at the end.
Yeah,
of my
there was
episode, and
no-
I was like,
There was no preview at the end of the episode, but Rue did say at the end of what I watched, get ready next week for a lip sync. All the girls coming back for a lip sync Lollapalooza.
terrific.
go
This
ahead,
episode felt very weird, and I think maybe putting into words of what you guys are saying, untidy is a really good word to use here, because the challenge just didn't really make sense, because they're doing a poster and they're filming an advert for the Vegas show, and then they're performing to a new song, but they're not writing lyrics, they're just performing to the song. And there's also an interview portion with Latrice, which I think was the best part, because I love Latrice, and I think Latrice, it was very engaging, as well as felt a little bit, fresher, that it wasn't just RuPaul, but it was someone else, someone who is a legend and a titan in the drag industry. But it felt so weird, especially with this final lip sync being Sam versus Susie, which I'm confused by, because if you were going to do this, and not because I want to see her in the bottom, but even though I kind of do because I know she can perform, put Lexi there. This entire storyline of, and think about what that looks like for Lexi feeling so down on herself because she is envious of Susie's abilities, and then she defeats Susie in a lip sync, and that's like, what does that do for a storyline? And it just feels, we've had a couple of storylines that they could have done, things like Susie versus Anya. Again, not that either one of them deserve to be in the bottom, but more so we're looking at things from a storytelling perspective. They're trying to craft a narrative, and it feels like Sam versus Susie is just a weird way to end it to a Diana Ross song. This challenge also was just weird. I think maybe that's part of it as well, where when the challenge, at least from my perspective, isn't the most fun and engaging, we get to this and we're like, oh, well, that kind of blows. And it's not the girls' fault. It's what they had to do.
It
It wasn't
wasn't,
a challenge.
and it wasn't just this lip sync either. I feel like this whole season has been a lot of really clunky songs, where we haven't seen a lot of very impressive lip syncs. It's been a lot of songs where you don't have much of a choice but to just stand there and kind of move dramatically and be emotional, but that's not really what we have come to expect and what our standard is for what, this is supposed to be like a battle. This is supposed to be lip syncing for your life, and I feel like a lot of them have come across more like intense karaoke, and that's not what this challenge is supposed to be. This is supposed to be a big deal.
I really like that branding of intense karaoke. Because it's true. Like, we are, the more we move into this show, we do kind of like all the conflicts tend to settle more. We do still get some outrageous ones, but they tend to be a little lower key, a little less chaotic, a little more predictable, a little more containable. And I agree. I was also thinking it might have been interesting to switch the 2 episodes with 5 contestants, to have had this one first and have this be the one where nobody goes home, and then do the makeover challenge where they can lie about whatever they want for why people are in the bottom and going home. I would be curious about that. I wonder if the vision was that Susie just didn't have this anymore earlier than that, or if she had made it through a freebie episode, if she would have stayed for the top 4.
To be a little critical and to kind of point to what you're saying, I think believably, the issue is, yes, I think they wanted to get rid of Susie, but not because she didn't have it. It's because of what she does have. When you've got a girl who cacks real cackety, you could put her in a cack. When you've got a girl who can do backflips, you put the girl in the backflip number. When you've got a girl that gives unbelievable drama, you can put her in the dramatic number. But what do you do with a girl who's so one of a kind? What do you do with a girl like Susie, who you can't slot into? Because that's the thing we discovered. All of the numbers in the Vegas show, you slot into them.
Mhm.
They don't make you a number.
No.
You do one of those numbers.
Yeah.
There is none of those numbers, having seen them. Susie
No.
is a fit for.
Mhm.
And it becomes the problem is kind of laziness. They don't want to have the work of having someone ready to put anything goes on the tour in Vegas. So anything goes.
And it does
Agreed.
kind of go ahead, Tori.
I mean, my personal conspiracy is that Susie was not supposed to survive the makeover episode. Like, she was just not supposed to, and then she
Did
admitted
really well.
painted her face on her mother's the exact same way, and they just kind of had to go, well, if we're taking an up close photo of them, like, it's family resemblance, like, there it is. And so, and Jules did something, made a choice herself. So, like, I think Susie was supposed to go home on the makeover. I think it was supposed to be kind of like that beautiful, like, fifth out, like, you all did great. Everyone's a 98. You were the 95. Thank you so much. Goodbye. I just feel like, Kevo, what you were saying about, like, what was Susie doing here? I think a lot of these girls really do come in being like, sure, I want to win, but my goal is basically to make it to, like, top 8. Like, that's my goal. And I think that Susie, it's very possible that Susie put on this whole, like, I'm going to win really hard in the confessionals because, like, hey, she's a confident human. It makes everyone upset. Like, let's go. When in reality, she was like, I know what I am. I know who I am. I know what I give. I'm shooting for top 8. And everything after that is gravy. And I would love $200,000 at the end of it. And I think that, and I've thought about this a lot before, but that the musical theater girlies are kind of built for, like, the how much time and energy and focus it takes to get through all of these challenges week after week after week. And so she does well enough that she pushes far enough forward that all of a sudden production goes, oh shit, she's not going to end low enough for us to be able to knock her out until it's
that
a
2 a.m. stamina.
travesty. Yeah. And I think that's sort of one of those things where she just kept doing well enough that they couldn't, and I think also, like, the fact that she did do well with her makeup for a certain while made it so that they couldn't read her for that much. So they were like, fuck, what are you gonna do? I don't know. That's my personal conspiracy. But I think there is something to the idea that some of these girls really do come in being like, I know what I am, but let's just try to get high enough to make it worth it.
Just looking to change that booking fee. And
Yeah.
I feel like, that's really would I love to have a show up on Broadway as a musical theater guy? Yeah, I would love to write a show and get it on Broadway. But do you know what I would really like? To pay the bills. So do you know what would be really cool? Getting a show into repertoire. That would be great. Getting people to cover my numbers. That would be cool. You hear this motherfucking jam in the background? Excellent. It goes like this. You can buy it for the low price of just call me. I'm very reasonable. So, like,
Disney makes more money in school shows and tours than they ever do on Broadway. Like, there are shows that are built to go to high schools and make their money there for the rest of 95 years.
I mean, literally, High School Musical, the High School Experience, or whatever it's called now. Or I think it's actually called the High School Musical, the School Edition. But, it's really fascinating. And, I feel like the people who maybe did not come to just place well are 2 of them are still here. And for me, it's Jules and Sam. I do not believe they came to place well. I believe they came to buy the restaurant, and that is what they are going to do. So I don't know. End of the day, I actually don't think this episode had anything in it. Like, we didn't really get a lot, and I also think that we are moving to the place where a lot of this shit could just be YouTube extras, because you guys get the hits on YouTube anyway. You get the millions of hits. I'm looking at the numbers on this season right now, and we're trailing somewhere around a 0.4 to a 0.6 which for the time and the demo is significant and it's very good. That's a
Mhm.
lot of people watching for Friday nights, and that's very impressive on a first air. Beyond that, your main demo number is significant. It's plump. It's pretty gorgeous, right? And so by numbers, this show is doing great, but the YouTube numbers crush these numbers. So I am inclined to believe all of their little clippy guys, you could have made that a YouTube thing. They could have been built into the episode as a streaming bonus if you guys want to start getting streaming clever. But we're entering an age where, and this is something that I was thinking about earlier with the Switch 2, because for some of us, gamer kids, the Switch 2 was very clearly not designed to be a gaming console. It was clearly designed to be a media operating outlet, in that it's designed with the idea of functional interface in mind. The idea is you're not playing a game with your friends. You and your friends, wherever you are the game. Your faces are there. You see each other's screens. You're talking to one another. It's the goddamn closest thing to being in the same room. There is no more separation between you're playing and you're in the game. And the thing that us doing DRD, the thing that all of these bars doing drag race for the night kind of competitions, and of course, I don't even mean to tread on all of the incredible pageants and competitions that existed well before Drag Race, but I mean the same way singing competitions existed well before American Idol, and then everybody had an American Idol karaoke night. So I think we are at the point where this stuff does need to become a little bit more experiential, or we're going to be facing, I think, perhaps creative media death. And then it won't be long before the next Willem and Alaska are able to launch a show that actually does rival it. And then she'll have really lost control of the narrative. She being Rue, who's a control freak.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that I think there's ways to continue to save it, and I think that it involves widening that equator length and allowing more people to compete from different areas of drag towards the center, or just saying we have the main show and then we have separate shows where we come back and then I don't know, what is it, celebrity drag makeover, where we try to teach people to do it. I think you could honestly do like a comedy queens one. You can do all those. I mean, we've talked about this before, but yeah, I think the Ouroboros is definitely starting, and I'm actually wondering if maybe the show should go back to 1 hour a week instead of an hour and a half. That maybe we don't need all the bloat anymore, because it seems like RuPaul is very uninterested in the extras.
Well, like Nico said, it can go on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's and we talk about this all the time, because at the end of an episode, what do? You go watch What You Pack In, you go watch the Roscoe's viewing party, you go watch the pit stop. I'd eventually in my week get into another half hour to an hour that's all of the stuff that used to be in an hour and a half episode chucked onto YouTube, so that my Friday nights are a little shorter. I mean, I know that it kills the proposition of ad sales for MTV, but I don't know. I mean, are people tuning out because they're kind of sick of this? Like, could they get more people with an hour spectacular? And I don't know. I don't know if that would ultimately get them more ad revenue. I'd like to think that it would. I wonder also too what the YouTube revenue would look like.
How long can we monetize drag on YouTube? Truly
a
fantastic question. But Nico, I also
just real quick to your question. The numbers are trending down, but by a percentage factor that I just feel is like bone density loss. They are, unfortunately, you are correct. They're able to get the money, and that's why they're still doing it, because they barely lost any numbers.
That's the value proposition. People will decide, I watch Drag Race on Friday nights, and they'll just watch it, even though it's a half hour of stuff that isn't really worth sitting there and watching. And
with Untucked, it's a 2 hour block. Like, you're just like, this is our 2 hour flagship.
8 to 10,
Boom.
we're sitting
Mhm.
there, and you know, you say to advertisers, like, this is the guaranteed audience. They basically always show up, and you probably can't improve on that by making it shorter. You can improve on the quality, but you can't improve on the audience engagement or numbers. So that's kind of a bummer because there really is no incentive, except for the fact that the show ultimately will continue to just like slowly get worse. And as Nico said, like I think naturally, like in a very cycles of birth and death and rebirth, something like Willem in Alaska will eventually take over, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be, you know, just the natural cycle of things. It's maybe a little bit unfortunate that there's no striving to return to quality. But at the same time, like I think about one of your guys' favorite show, nothing has ever really supplanted Project Runway. They stopped doing them as frequently, but
Literally, you know what? And genuinely, they tried supplanting Project Runway with Tim and Heidi and still couldn't do it. That is a really fair point.
Yeah, and you know, it's cooking shows. It's a little different, I think, because the product is. Go on, you just
Well,
like.
and they also had a whole channel where they were just like, "This is the Food Network. Welcome to 15 ways you can do cooking shows."
Right.
You said something about food shows, and it actually is kind of interesting because there is a food show starting that I don't know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Bourdain, no, that's the gentleman who we saw photos of all over DC, so he's very present on my mind at the moment. Jose Andres and Martha Stewart will be hosting Yes Chef, a Top Chef produced show featuring 15 chefs whose personalities hold them back from being more successful because they're such mouthy assholes that they are literally here to pass social tests as much as cooking tests.
Sort of heard I wasn't recruited for this.
Well, it has quite literally. I mean, I'm famous for saying
They're not ready for you.
My literal least favorite food competitor of all time is a gentleman named Katsuji.
Yeah.
And he is in fact going to be in the first season of this, and it starts later this month. And the reason I thought of it is because when you said food shows are different, and you know what? You're right. There's never been one food show. There's always been Julia.
I think we think of
China.
Top Chef as that's the most iconic name, but other shows have been, as Iron Chef has been as big as Top Chef.
Iron Chef's been around for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Speaking of super cool and around forever. Hey, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. You know, Chopped was a big. There's no. I mean, like, there's kind of Dragula, but Dragula's not on a network. Dragula's not even on cable. Like, Dragula's not on, and there's no other shows. So, like, you know, Top Chef, I think, is the name that is most recognizable. It is the Project Runway of chef shows, but like Chopped is not an unknown show. Worst Cooks, while being in a completely different type, is a very well known. Like, a lot of these names are really recognizable, even if they are not quite Top Chef. There's not a lot of other Project Runways or Drag Races. Like, there's not really other versions of those shows that are on broadcast or cable that do significant numbers or anything that last very long.
Yeah, you could even say that we don't even really we don't have America's Next Top Model anymore. Yes, Project Runway isn't running around as much as it is. American Idol isn't doing what it used to. Like, this is kind of one of the last bastions of that early 2000s like vibe of reality shows, and it's hard because I know because at this point, so many major drag queens that would be someone that they'd be like, let's pull you to host this so that we can have something that can stand up against Drag Race, are Drag Race girls. And the ones who aren't are probably very against the idea of a reality competition show, even if they're the judge. Like, they're just not going to do it. And I think it's replacing Alex Trebek. Like, there's a certain thing where you just got to say, like, we had magic in a bottle. Good luck catching it again.
Yeah.
Speaking of magic in a bottle and talking about trash and reality shows, I've been thinking a lot about the fact that Katy Perry is going into space, and I can't stop wondering if maybe Hormona was jealous that Katy was going to be so much closer to God, because that's why, because she's going up into space. And so maybe, but that really was just my bad segue to actually
That might not be funny very soon, just so you know. But for now, it was very funny.
Well, I'll wait for you guys to challenge me on that joke. So
No!
Oh,
The roast
man,
is later.
That just blew up in my face.
Oh my god!
The roast is later.
So, anyway.
Yours was worse than his!
So now that we've saved space for that, I think about where this season began and where this season is ending up. And the one big takeaway I am going to say is, for better or worse, man, these girls are a fucking sisterhood. I really, really get sisterhood from these girls because, like, I am part of some groups of friends, and y'all know who you are. No one's offended, but we're very fake with each other because we need each other to survive. We are not, we don't actually love each other. It's very love you, kiss you, but like we understand that that's what we need to be in social situations to get through life. And we're all relying on each other because not everybody in your pack is your best friend. Some people are just people that, and like, you're okay with it. That's an okay thing. And there are plenty of seasons where that's the vibe. But this season, to me, felt like a family. It's like the people in this row. There might be a day where I drive Kevo a little too crazy. Or there might be a day where Tori and TK have a fight over who is truly the best modern tap dancer. And it's Gregory Hines. And I feel like... It's you?
It's me.
It's you. It's, Andrew pointed out you are your ultimate daddy tonight.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Daddy,
next, you have your choice. You're either ultimate or absolute. It's your call. But
I'll take amazing.
Tony Sheehan out here.
So I think that is what I'm walking away from this season with. I can see a Trixie, a Bob, a Violet, a Raja, a Raven, any of these women, both Rajas, succeeding so well in any season. And it's not that I can't see that for these girls, but I feel like the version of each one of these girls we would get would be dramatically different. And I wonder how much of that was born of the camaraderie of that first event being like literally jump into laser tag and get shot and drag. And like after that, y'all are either in the foxhole together or you got the fuck out of the way. And this felt a little bit more like a season of sisters than a season of drag queens all trying to win at times, which is why I feel like only two girls in the finale are going to claw each other to death for the win.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing I always point to when we talk about conflict in this season, and the thing that keeps popping up is like the multitude of times that somebody, at least two of them, it was Lana, but other times it's been other people who in the midst of the fight will be like, hello, Lana, will be like, hi, can we just like resolve this so we can go back to being sisters? And you know, the fact that this episode, Sam and Susie talked a lot about getting to know and like each other and becoming close. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been very interesting because other seasons, it maybe kind of is that thing you're talking about, Nico, where like I felt like maybe in 15 and 16, the girls seemed more pleasant to each other on a daily basis, and like they would fight a little less and maybe read each other a little less in ways that are like, because these girls a lot of times got really nasty and mean, and like even the fights, like sometimes the fights they would admit like, oh, I'm just being mean to you because I'm upset that I lost, but like they were kind of unpleasant to each other a lot of the time, but they kept repeating that refrain of like, we're sisters, and then you have like 15 and 16. I don't think anybody really said that about each other, and I'm sure they were close in their own ways. I'm sure they had, you know, tight bonds, and everybody bonds after the show too, and there's a lot of stuff we don't see, but they all seem to fight a little bit less. And you know, it goes to show you that like the show can't quite capture the reality of the relationships that everybody has, even if it is documenting very specific moments. And we are just kind of left piecing it together from what we get. But I think those continued refrains of like, can we just like get over whatever the fight is and be sisters again, sort of really does speak to the fact that what you are noticing is correct.
Especially because there are seasons and girls and teams where they're not like that, and it's not even always hateful. But I always remember how disappointed I was to learn how much of the cast of the OC was just a job to them. And you'd hear Ben McKenzie say, "Oh, did they have a baby 3 years ago? I had no idea." And it's ooh. That was part of my adolescence and new adulthood. That hurts to hear that that was a job, but it is a job. And for some people, it's a job, and it's not hateful, but it's not always drag race camp. It's not important that everyone has sisterhood every time. However, when there can be that sort of camaraderie, when there can be that sort of teamship, especially at a moment like right now where that's something that we really need to see and feel and be engendering in each other, it's really cool to see.
I also think that we'd been talking for like the past couple of seasons, felt like the girls were very shy to discuss their real feelings for fear of upsetting fans. And it feels like this season and possibly last one, we at least got people not. And I think maybe that gets felt in the room, that there's more honesty willing to happen, that I will tell you to your face immediately upon asking what's up, as opposed to just being like, "No, sister, it's fine, we're besties," while you know that everyone's like simmering hatred underneath for everyone.
Yeah.
You
That's
know, like
sisterhood.
that. I mean, hey, I've got two sisters. Whenever someone's like the sisterhood, I'm always just like, you people don't have sisters. Get out of here.
And like my sister taking care of me as a child is like literally the reason I'm alive as a human adult. But like at the same time, what the fuck are you talking about? What I really want is a good friend who's there for me.
Right? And like, you know, I had a good sister day today, so today was a good sister day, but it is in spite of many things. And I think that there is a certain amount of foxhole stuff like Kevo was talking about, because and with casts like this where you're like, oh, they seem so buddy they seem like a family, it's shocking to find out that they're not, that there's always, when you're in it, it's like joining a cast of a musical. Like you're in it for 6 weeks where you're living and breathing and it's all you have together. And then you disperse back out. And some of you will stay friends. And maybe you'll get together once a year to like relive the glory days. But it's not, trauma bonds are not meant to keep you forever. And I think that we see a lot of that in Drag Race. And I think it's fascinating because a lot of these girls work very hard, that if there is beef on the show that does not get resolved on the show, that they try to quash it when the episode comes out really quickly. And then a lot of times about 6 months later, it comes right back up because it was performative. It wasn't how they actually felt. Yeah, and I think we're getting a lot more real feelings with this cast.
Friendships that pick back up after 10 years also have grudges that pick back up after 10 years. And that is something that like not enough people talk about. Just the real duality of the sensation of being a person in that regard. Yeah. But like, I will miss, I'm wrapped. I'm good. I have so little left to say about an episode that had so little to say other than to send home, Fought and Suster in all of her glory. So
we can spend time asking ourselves the question, well, who's gonna win? Although I know we all have the same answer.
I kind of hope it's so weird. I do hope that Jules wins at this point. That's I would love a Jules Anya double win, but God, I'm a performance art kind of guy, and the track that Jules had reflects learning. Anya stayed committed. Anya locked into the idea of Anya, and she's improved Anya, but I've never seen another person. Which down to we made the comment of her in the Snatch game was doing Eddie Murphy, not doing Eddie Murphy. And Jules has grown the most. I would love to give it to Lexi, but I'm so sorry, Lexi, but if you win this crown, you still won't like yourself yet. So I don't want you to win yet. I want you to find the happiness you deserve in life and then win 18,000 crowns. They're going to change the rules so you can come back and win every year. But Lexi winning today would not make her feel complete. And so I don't think she had the season to win. And I don't think it would behoove her to be a shock win. And so, yeah, Jules and Susie, call me. I want to write for you. I want to take you out on a date. I want to introduce you to a really good breakfast place around here.
She's in BK now,
Well,
apparently.
then I'll gladly be her Burger King anytime she needs. And
Did
she
you
can call
speak
me
on
right up.
Sam, or do you have nothing to say?
I love Sam as a really good second place.
Who's
TK, do
I
you
love
want to
her.
go next?
But
up?
Okay, for me, it's Anya's gonna win this. I think Jules and Sam are built for All Stars. Sam in particular is built for All Stars. I think that's where they have a higher chance of winning. I think Jules is a dark horse win. Like if it's not gonna be Anya, it's probably gonna be Jules at this point. They really seem to be like shining that one up as a possibility more than the others. And I think Lexi is one of those who's going to strike out on her own and figure it out, or maybe just land in Vegas and do the show for a long. I don't know. There's something about Lexi that isn't. Yeah, I don't think she's built for All Stars the way that Sam and Jules are. But I think that there is something to her where there's a longevity and a belovedness and a let's get her on the pit stop every season as a guest kind of vibe to her. So. Jonah, what do you or Kevo? Yeah.
Anyone, Jonah, if you're queued up, you can go.
Yeah. So I don't. This was not my favorite episode. I did not like what they made the girls do, because part of it is also like there's such a large emphasis on Vegas that it just feels a little weird. It's not everybody's goal is to specifically go to Vegas, but every girl who gets on the show just wants to win, and I am just a little weirded out just by what they were doing, by virtue of what they were doing. That being said, I still absolutely love this cast. I think this is a great cast. I love this top four. I still think it kind of is anybody's game, but I am leaning towards an Anya victory, which would make me very, very happy. But I can see now with the way this episode went, I can see Jules winning. I can see Sam winning. I can see Lexi winning. I'm not going to be disappointed by anybody winning. I just know in my heart of hearts, I think I'm a little bit Team Anya.
Sure.
TK.
My suspicion is that it will be Anya. Nico, I really agree with what you said about Lexi. I sort of see Lexi as maybe the most likely next one after Anya, but I really do agree. Like, we're only one episode off Anya, or off of Lexi not just entirely melting down at the thought of Susie. And again, like, weeks after we got to a point where if you are worried about somebody doing well in the competition and wanting them to go home, you should want Anya to go home. The person you should be talking about is send Anya home. Let's get Anya Nerve out of here. That's your biggest competition. That's who's going to be the spoiler. If you want to win, you want Anya gone. But it was such a bigger thing than Susie's doing so good, I want her out for Lexi. It was this reflection of herself and all these other things, and she was going through so much. And the fact that it just constantly, even in like kind of pleasant moments, returned to, I feel threatened by Susie. I feel jealous of Susie. I resent Susie. I don't know. For me, it wouldn't feel quite right. Like, I don't feel that storyline got resolved ever. I don't feel like we ever. It's possible that for her in her life it did during that time. Like, it's possible that by the time they got to the crowning ceremony, she was completely over it and was ready to take the crown. But I haven't seen it, and so it's like, for me, it's a little bit just. It maybe wouldn't feel like the triumph that I would want it to. That said, I do think it's likely. I would be super happy to see Jules. I see what everybody is saying. I don't think it's incorrect to want her to get it, and I'll be happy if she does. I also agree that Sam is so right for All Stars, and there is a thing with Sam where she's just not quite right for me. She just hasn't quite got something. She's not bad at all, but she's just not who I envisioned for the crown. She has her own kind of insecurities or lack of realness with herself that never got dealt with and hasn't really been seen, like hasn't really been that plot hasn't been resolved. And yeah, I mean, like, she didn't break out of her shell and of her pageant stuff in the same way that her mother did when she was on the show. And her mother also didn't win. Her mother came back and did All Stars and did even better there. So I'm kind of like, well, maybe that's the journey. But that's how I feel about everyone.
I also really just want to echo that I think you make a really great point in that when you're talking about how the show handles some of these girls and their ultimate trajectory and how they move them in and out. Somebody like Sam, she isn't for everybody, but I think they need to keep her because, you know, your exquisite taste will have a matching exquisite taste that doesn't agree.
Yeah.
And for them, they need a Sam. And I think some of it is hinging the audience's bets as much as it is the actual.
And making everybody feel included in having 4 people that they're like, a bunch of people are like, I like that person. Sam might not be, I don't think it's unreasonable that Sam's there. I think it's great that she's there. Yeah. And if she won the crown, I wouldn't be like, how did this travesty of justice come to occur? She's just not my fave. Like, she's not, I see things that I don't super connect with. But again, yeah, there's like a whole other audience of people who are like, I don't connect with anything about Jules, or I don't connect with anything about Anya. The person I really connect with is Sam. That's the one that I think should win. She's so polished. She had it all together. And all of us have to watch the same finale and carry the same hope that our girl could take it. So I think it's great that Sam's there.
Yeah. We also, I don't think we've crowned a really, really, really pageanty queen in the regular seasons so much.
Mm-mm.
And
no, I mean, ironically, in a weird way, Sasha Colby.
Yeah. Fair.
Love that you guys have drawn attention to the sort of diversity of queen style we have for this finale, which is really cool. You never want it to be 3 of a kind, if anything, because then it's even harder to pick from the sameness. But, you know, these are 4 great contenders. I think everyone's pretty much on the same page, more or less, even on the things that we don't agree on. I think we're all like, yeah, that outcome is likely to. I love everyone. I think Anya is the one who I would say has made the most impression on me this season. I want to date Sam Starr, but I really love Tony's vision for Sam for the future, where you know, she can go forth and maybe do something like All Stars. That I am still you know, keeping my ears out for the potential of Global All Stars too. What if we start doing teams? Stuff like that would be great. So I think she has a future. I think all of our top 4 definitely have a future, no matter what. So this has been a really good season. The thing I'm frustrated by right now, though, is that this episode redrew my attention to the squirrel games that went nowhere. Stirred that this is the pin for this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't go in the opposite direction, like lean too far into Wicked as the Rusical pin either. And like, you know, make it like any one thing. It's hard because there is no actual theme to a season. But if there were a theme to a season of something, the theme of Drag Race to Draft Race, the game, the home edition, drafting up your face like a draft house, is so good. So good. And we're still playing. We're still doing it. We're having a good time. We're living, laughing, loving. And we are out here doing our show. You guys ready to move into some draft race?
Hell yeah!
Okay. So, I do want to say that something I've noticed is that the show itself is skipping mini challenges a lot lately. just skipping them all together. It's like a skip it. It's new and improved from Tiger Electronic Toys. Who else? So I do believe.
Well, there's a counter on this ball.
Yeah, we are also going to use the counter on our ball, and we're going to say skip. We are not going to do a mini challenge for tonight. Instead, we're going to give everybody as much time as humanly possible to get ready for Draft Race Live, where tonight is stand up / the roast. That's right, because the show seems to have as little commitment to which one they're doing as we are going to. We're going to take that little bit of room. And so tonight we're going to pick our 3 girls and enter them into this little comedy fest. But because we cannot, of course, give a full set for each girl, we're going to say, kind of what we think our girls might do a little bit if we want to. But generally, we are here just going to do a fun little bit and vote on how we feel the girls would do per the brief description everyone's going to give. Because the truth is, when you get this far in a season, even of Draft Race, you've been playing for a while. You know the girls. You already know who you think is going to be funny at stand-up. And no amount of Jonah preparing the funniest explanation of why for him this time Rosé would do the best roast ever is going to really move the needle for any of us for things we just kind of feel to be true already. So
this is a reminder that our category this week is nerve.
Which,
Ooh.
rumor is it do take.
It do take.
I would love for Kevo, if you would not mind, when you get a moment, to put our amazing image up on the screen with everybody's current rankings, because you've made such a beautiful image for that. So our girls are killing it. My team, I have 2 girls with badges. That's Miss Vanjie and Saphira. That's 1 and 2 badges each. Team Tori, 2 ladies with 2 badges. Shay with 2 and Roxy with 2. Team TK has 3 girls with 1 badge each, rocking out Katya, Jada, and Willow. Though any minute, I'm thinking that Bob the Dairy Queen is going to grab hers. And then we've got Team Jonah with his fancy 4 badges, 1 for each Trinity, Nymphia, Rosé, and Bianca. We're looking forward to Naomi coming to the party, but life's not always fair. So,
Leave the roast for when we're cooking.
Right?
so with our category being nerve, which it do take, nerve is sort of like one of those things that I think it's funny because I wouldn't call it being like raw and edgy, but it's like it's a certain ability to be, I guess, fierce that like it's kind of hard to quantify, but there's a funness in nerve.
Yeah, there's a funness. There's a devil may care, like a little bit of trolling underneath it. Like there's a moxie, good old moxie.
Go Moxie.
Yeah.
So I'm giving all the girls a moment to get their girls all girled out. When you know your girls, please let me know that you're ready. And having a really good time. By the way, I want to say hi to some of our new viewers tonight. Some new viewers, some old viewers, really excited. Hey, Matt, super fun to have you here. Hey, Kev, how you doing? I just want to say hi to people because, it's hard to reply to all the messages, but I think you're all great. And okay, so from here, like I said, we're going to pick our 3 girls, and then we're going to put together what we're going to do and pitch our little set. Now, I did give everybody the heads up of you might want to have just a couple of zings or a little set prepared. And I said, let's do the brave thing. Let's do something no one's ever done on YouTube before and roast ourselves a little. Oh my God, my smart device told me it doesn't know how to help me roast myself. I really appreciate that my smart device is looking out for my emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It said no cannibalism on my watch.
So,
Not today.
everybody feeling good about their picks?
Yes.
All right. So then I'm I'm going to kind of give everybody that moment to get their thoughts together, but I'm happy to go first. One of the things about this challenge is it's a few more girls than there would normally be. So I wouldn't want to worry about a lineup order. I wouldn't want to worry about the nonsense of it, right? So we're just out here saying kind of sort of which girls have, funny enough, lined up with this episode, kind of a natural advantage at this point in the competition. So to kick things off, my girls are going to be Vanjie, Simone, and Raja. Now, it's not that I don't think Heidi and Saphira aren't drop dead funny, but their unique scores are lower. I'm sorry, their nerve scores. My apologies. Their nerve scores are lower. So it does not matter. They don't help me. But beyond that, the big thing for me is that, like, I think the girls that do best at a RuPaul comedy special are the girls who keep it light, who keep it funny and generic and kind of real with an angle. So I have a feeling that Vanjie is going to come out there, and Vanjie, whether this is a stand-up or roast, and please feel free, use whichever one works best for your argument. She's going to come out there, and a good portion of her humor is going to be the situational identification of what's going on around them. Just, I see you on the judges panel being like, ooh, with your sweatpants on. And like, you know, she would be like playful at the situation no matter what. She would get a big laugh out of RuPaul as long as she didn't get super insulting of anybody, right? Mm-hmm. Simone has a certain level of you know, we were at a panel this weekend and at AwesomeCon in DC, and brilliant drag queen Tiffany D. Carter said that, you know, there's a lot of people supposedly out there in the running for Storm, but the real reason she doesn't want it to go to Keke Palmer is because, can you imagine it? Okay, guys, so the gag is the Storm is coming, and so like, it wouldn't work. And I thought that was like the funniest shit I'd heard, and I think that's exactly why Simone does work. Simone actually has that the gag is a storm is coming attitude. She knows how to make the joke work, whatever the weirdness. So I feel like Simone would get up there and her stand-up would be a lot about how being fabulous is kind of funny, and the kind of funny shit that happens to her, just kind of being a real girl, but, you know, a better girl than you, right? And lastly, I think Raja, the queen of personalities and characters, she's going to come out and she is going to razz in a character. I don't know if it's a church lady or if it's somebody on the Home Shopping Network or if she's going to come out as your first grade teacher, but she is going to bring out a character where it's honestly, it's hit or miss. I don't know how well it would land. I might find it hysterical and everybody else might think it's terrible. And there she is dressed as a beautiful blueberry. And I really love her. I love her work, but I really do think that the glory of her performance would be in her humanness, right? So as for my little bit of a set, I really think, though, that at the end of the day, the fun thing when you're talking about doing a little bit of a stand-up or a little bit of a roast, whichever you want to do, is kind of tying into the things that are actually kind of true to you funny. And for me, one of my favorite things to recount is so I just started college, and the first thing I had done when I started college was I decided I was going to be a totally different person. And so, like most people, as soon as you get to college, you come up with the worst stupid nickname for yourself possible. And I decided I was going to be NJ because it was going to work. I was going to make it happen. It was totally going to work. Please believe
in
me.
a college in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, no, I thought that was exactly why it was going to work. I thought everybody would give me the home court advantage. Listen to me getting heckled. And so I decide I'm going to be really confident, and I'm going to be so dynamic, and I'm only ever this confident and dynamic in extreme situations. This was so confident. And there was this guy in one of my classes, and he kept looking at me, and I'm like, oh, this guy's checking me out, and he thinks I'm really cute. And so he asks me to walk to the next class with him, and he keeps asking me questions. And so at the end of it, I was like, and hey, I just want you to know, I think you're really hot too. Here's my number. And so afterward, he messages me that he was basically looking for a gay best friend for his girlfriend. And so that's why he was hanging on me the whole time.
That is, I hope she hung on to that one, because that is some real beautiful masculinity right there.
Well, he ultimately did want to hang out a lot. He wanted to just read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance and talk about it a lot, which was weird because he didn't have a motorcycle. So I do believe that if I were out there, I would tell a number of what I've been told are my tight 10 stories. There's a particularly good one about almost getting abducted behind an auto repair shop, but I'm going to save that for when I have an actual 10. So I would love to yield the floor. Whoever would like to go, you're up.
I can go. So I
Goodbye to all my voting.
So I'll start with who I'm going to be choosing this week, and I've chosen Trinity the Tuck, Rose, and I'd be a fool not to include one Miss Del Rio. These are two people, Rose and Bianca, I think, have noted themselves be able to do well at stand-up at the roast itself. Exactly. I think these are two funny people who have that stage presence. Trinity, I think, is one of the funniest people who, when she's not trying to do actual comedy, we never said that she has to write her own jokes. These two can help her come up with a great set, and because she knows how to deliver. All you have to do is know how to deliver a joke. Many people who do jokes don't write their own, but I wrote some jokes about me. These are just a couple like one-liner roasts, just to get some going. My body looks like it would bully my face in high school.
Oh.
I'm an engineer, but I couldn't engineer a better personality.
I love how these roasts also compliment you. Look how great my body is. I'm such a smart person. I'm an engineer. I'm gonna roast you too. These are great.
Jonah means dove, and just like the soap, when I'm on your body, you think of something else you'd rather have there instead. Little known fact about me is that I was born on the highway because that's where most accidents happen. And the last one, my body hates itself so much that it gave me cancer.
For those of you who don't know, Jonah is a cancer survivor, so it's not just like him being weird.
No, I am a survivor of cancer. I'm 2.5 years cured. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but I like to make fun of it.
Yeah, take the power away. I love
This
that.
is where we all find out how much of an easy laugh Tori is.
I love it, Jonah. I love that you brought to the table Trinity, Rose, and Bianca. Oh, I'm so sorry. Nymphia, Rose, and Bianca. No,
Yeah,
Trinity.
no,
I was gonna
Trinity.
do-
Trinity.
You're right the first time.
Oh, man.
Mhm.
Trinity, Rose, and Bianca. And I love your self roasts. I think it takes, it's always healthy to be able to laugh at yourself. It takes a good breath, and then it feels good.
Oh, I'm a walking cartoon character. I love making fun of myself.
Well, we love you too. So,
You got
All
this
right.
roasted cooking.
which one of my producers is up next? And I see that Tori is just going to give me no credit.
My goodness. All right. Well, then I'll go. I've chosen for this wonderful thing. I have chosen Shea Coulee, Roxy Andrews, and Chanel. I literally just had a moment where I was like, what is Chanel's last name? No, she has but one. Much like she had almost no wins before she got to All Stars. But no, I think that these gals are, they're not the strongest roaster stand-uppers, but I feel like Shea Coulee comes in and she is always prepared, she's always ready, and I think that she will provide I don't think she'll go full character work with it, but I think that there will be a very specific side of Shea Coulee that she will bring that energy to the stage. And I feel like her thing will be that she's not going to be stuck to the podium, that she's going to keep wandering around and kind of giving you physicality to everything. I think Roxy Andrews spent time during quarantine watching PowerPoint comedy, and I think that Roxy Andrews would come in and try to give like a PowerPoint comedy routine of just like a tight 7 or 8 minutes on some kind of topic. She comes from the school of loose ships, which and their motto is that, oh God, I did this so much better in the car, but the idea that thanks, Kevo. The motto is that loose ship, sink lips. And so she would be very ready with some puns, and probably do about as well as I'm doing right now. But Chanel, I think, is going to give us your most classic stand-up. I think she's going to come in with kind of like a slice of life of what it's like to put up all of her Christmas stuff and really just kind of take you down the crazy zaniness of having that kind of fanciful, fantastical lifestyle. And so I think that these girls are each going to kind of bring something different, but something that is going to be excellent and niche enough to stand out.
I love it. And I really love that you point out that your girls do have a beautiful wealth of diversity in their behavior and comedy.
For better or worse.
Now, were you gonna roast yourself? Do any type?
Am I gonna roast myself? Oh, it's so easy. I mean, we can talk about how my mustache may be pencil thin, but so is my skill at putting on makeup. Just a paper thin excuse. That's all I need.
I love it. And I do want to say, though, the other thing you could roast yourself with is how long you took to get to the end of that one. So
it's true. It's true. I take a long and winding road.
You are a twice baked potato.
Thank you.
Love that.
I am
roasted twice.
Yeah.
Right.
Roast me all night long.
Well, speaking of, but I don't want to cut you off if you're not done. If you're done.
Oh no, I've been twice baked. Stick a fork in me. I'm trash.
Well, speaking of people who are not trash, I was going to try and come up with a baked thing, but I couldn't get there because you don't really smoke. So
baked trash.
Baked trash. You could be baked trash if you want. Baked trashlaska.
Just be compost bin, the usual.
All right. So here's the thing. All of my queens have bad nerve scores, but some of them did incredibly well in stand-up and roast challenges, which is insane. So splitting the difference, and because you won't stop voting for her, I left Katya off this time. Katya clearly would have killed it in this, but she workshop jokes for Violet. So Violet's going on. We are putting Bob on. Again, 0 nerve score, but is a professional stand-up comedian. So Bob and then Miss Willow Pill. So Violet, of course, is going to go for your really roasty insult comedy. It's all going to be very Miranda Priestley, as was her Snatch Game character. It's going to be a lot of reading people's looks. It's going to be a lot of how over it she is, how exhausting she finds everybody, how beneath her this all is. But, she charms with a couple of heartfelt moments about iconic looks that she's seen on this runway or that Rue has given. For Bob, it's almost like it's so good it's bad. It's so professional. She's so ready to go. It's exactly what you're expecting in every way. It is a classic Bob the Drag Queen comedy show. It is, of course, not bad. Everybody laughs the whole time, but it is that thing where, like, when you are already the best, how can you top yourself?
Constantly.
Yeah, we're all just trying to figure it out. One or two, yeah, I would say so. That's like the type of joke Bob would make. And then so last we have Willow Pill, who goes really kind of psychedelic and weird with it, sort of like the Raja Gemini like witch moment from So she goes really campy and high concept with it, but everybody laughs and has a good time, and there's of course a lot of venom within the psychedelia. So those are my 3 girls. And as for some self-owns and some roasts, I know what you're thinking. This is exactly what we need. Another white gay in athletic wear critiquing an art form he's never participated in. But I do want to tell you that I have done drag. I'm sorry I don't have pictures, but if you've seen the monster from The Substance, just picture 5 or 6 cameras, each adding 10 pounds, and you basically got it. But I am very inspired by drag culture, most especially the Queen's regular access to cocaine and go-go boys.
That was literally my weekend. Drag queens, cocaine, and go-go boys. That is uncanny.
And I'm inspired.
I'm inspired. I love that you even said an art form that he. Yeah, that was.
Zing.
I love it. Having heard everybody's shows, I'm super excited to get the votes, tally them up, and get it all going. One of the things that I kind of struggled with when we were coming up with this episode's gameplay is that it really is. We're not going to sit here and write an actual, full set for these girls. That's kind of not ours to do. They're their own performers. So what happens in a situation like that? Well, we kind of have to bank on what we expect. Very few girls are ever going to wholly disappoint in a way that feels unrecoverable in that regard. So I think one of the things that winds up happening is we do really have expectations. And that is, I think, part of what we were talking about today, with expectations of what Vegas is, expectations of who Susie is, expectations of what Ruth thinks about those two things. And I feel like comedy challenges are often that same kind of body of work, because they really do require that the person and their humor still.
For sure. And I think also, man, comedy takes time. Takes time, and you gotta find your rhythms. It's, as Jonah was saying, or as one of you was saying, anyone can write a joke. It's the delivery that really works. And as we saw with Jules and Arietti, sometimes even if the jokes aren't good, you can't deliver them better.
And I think an element of it too, Tori, I understand it was a bit of a fumble with Roxy, but I love the way that you folded it into it's what Roxy would do. You know what? Roxy absolutely would try really hard, and it would there'd be something about it. And she would keep a smile on her face though, and it would be endearing because it's goddamn Roxy. And it's still funny in its own way. And I think recognizing the ways in which the girls would perhaps not meet the mark is just as important as trying to describe the ways in which they would shine, because those are also the things that these queens' reputations are built on.
Let us not forget the great Gilbert Gottfried incident of 2025.
Oh shit, fuck. Oh my god. Oh
Really?
My god.
The first time we should have known something was wrong.
There was a lot of that Snatch game that we should have paid a little more attention to in foreshadowing.
What was your Snatch Game's name again? Gilbert Goodbird or whatever?
Gilbert Goodburger.
So this episode is record breaking because everybody kept voting as the episode was going. So I have our scores. We're ready. It's time to go. For Team Nico, we have Simone. For Team Jonah, we rockin' a Bianca.
Of course.
Now, Team Tori, you are quite cool, as you're pulling in Shay.
Woo!
And then Team TK, you are Bob all the way. Now, the only person here who did not have by virtue of either bonus points or a perfect vote, unanimous. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying anymore. Unanimous is Simone. Everybody else did either a perfect score or made a perfect score by a bonus. So,
who were the last two?
It's Simone, Bianca, Shay, and Bob. To remind everybody how this part of the game works, what we do is we go over to google.cam, you might have heard of it, and we roll a d20. That d20 gives us a number which we add or subtract our lip sync value from, and that gives us our lip sync score. We do it in a head-to-head, and from there, the winners of those two face off. Ties result in double wins. So I say let's have TK and Jonah roll first, and then me and Tori will roll second, and then winner versus winner. So Tori, me second, TK and Jonah first.
I'm good.
All right.
Good to go.
All right,
My
let's-
total is 10.
I rolled a 17 plus 1 is 18.
All right. So we see Bianca Del Rio for the first time in history advance on her lip sync score.
Girl.
Though I do want to say, TK, it is a tragic loss to, as you pointed out, lose people who are so talented at what they do. Bob might not have the score here, but it's kind of hysterical that all said and done, Bob still... She had it. Bob, I'm sorry our game did you dirty. That's what it comes down to.
Well, and you know what? The show did Bob dirty because the show didn't have any stand-up challenge, didn't have a roast, didn't have a girl group challenge, didn't have like writing any sort of lyrics thing, like things that Bob would excel at that could improve her nerve score. The show didn't give her.
Yeah. And they had a really truncated season that season. I actually am very fascinated because I feel like sometimes the challenges in the show are built to showcase who they want to go forward. So we had a lot of comedy this season. They were kind of pushing forward who's someone who's going to be funny. It was very fascinating that if you believe that Bob was the chosen winner from the beginning, why they chose the challenges they chose.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that brings
rolling.
me versus Tori. I rolled a 19, which plus 6 seems unbelievable. I'm ready for a 2 again.
I
Did you beat me anyway?
I rolled a 14 plus Shea Coulee gets a 4, so that's an 18 for me.
So, oh my gosh, it's me versus Jonah in the finals.
Ooh, baby. Simone versus Bianca. I've watched this Pit Stop episode, and it's one of my favorites.
All right, Jojo, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's where it happened. I rolled a 10. So plus my oh, well, it's 6 for lip sync, so it's a 16.
I think we're looking at a double win because I rolled a 15 plus 1.
Okay, I'm the first person to say I want there to be nonstop double wins. It is hysterical that I do not have a single solo win.
You solo won last week.
I thought I double won with Tori last week.
You won alone.
Oh,
Tori's had 2 for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tori.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Roxy bombed last
Double
week
win.
again.
Okay, so I'm kind of surprised. Double win. Didn't see that coming. I'm actually a minute to put my brains back together. But super exciting because I guess that means, hey, Simone, welcome to the Badge Club. That's so cool. And I do believe though, Jonah, with a 5th badge, my man, you are the first person to have 5 badges. Yet it doesn't actually fall on all 5 girls. Currently, Naomi lacks a badge.
I'm still hunting for that Naomi badge. I'm going to get it for her. It's what she deserves.
I just want to say, I love that everybody is in first place in like a different way. I think that literally, end of the day, we're going to have some fun superlatives. Like, I'm going to feel bad for TK and great for TK in 2 different ways. Everybody votes for Katya no matter what, but that lip sync score. I feel like Tori and her double badging way early, so amazing. We've had quite a game so far. I'm really excited. Next week we're gonna do makeovers.
Ooh,
Prepare
a unique
for that.
category.
Then we're gonna, according to the Tori, we got a powwow because according to this document that there's an entire episode of Lollapalooza. I don't want to roll dice for 40 minutes.
Okay, I mean, we could pull it into the finale crown, because the finale crown is just the top 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
We got work
and then
to do.
and then it'll wrap up with the finale of the show, and then it's a yay.
Well, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Just like seeing Susie Toot on Broadway in the near future. I can't wait for the near future of this game.
I hope that Boop the musical lasts long enough for her to get to get in on the second cast.
Ooh, okay. I really love that. That would be really neat. I kind of root for Boop the musical. In general, I know I'm not always the biggest adaptive property guy, but I'm here for it. But all right. Anybody, anything they want to add before we wrap tonight up?
Good job, everyone.
Good job. Go team. Look at Bianca winning a lip sync. I'm proud of her. She certainly has not. Especially not. Well,
We did it for her. We did it.
we did it. We did it. And I think Bob just took his time.
Bob, Bob rubbed me on the head, and it's been magic since then. So,
A Blarney Stone.
right? Okay, so we'll be back. Got a couple of weird weeks for the show, so the time of us might bounce around a little bit. But keep an eye out. We will definitely bring it all to you so good, daily, nightly, and ever so rightly. But until then, Jonah, where can everybody catch you on the interwebs?
You can catch me places at Keek Jonah.
Love it. Tori, same question for you.
You can find me online at SM Toy. That's Toy with an I.
Kevo, you produce this thing. You produce it so good. Produce us down. Where can we find you?
You can find me on the interwebs producing all sorts of content for this channel. And you can find me and my personal thoughts at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALOY.
Woo.
Bro, best friend, guy next to me. Where can everybody find you on the web if they want to see you being all sexy and smart?
That's TK Accidental. Nico, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me next to this picture of my dog all over the interwebs. You guys can find us, HTML, that's Husbands Talking More or Less. X is for podcast, X is for show. To all of our new amazing listeners on the HTML feed of this, which crazy transformation on that feed, guys. Thank you so much. We love all of our new listeners. Hey, you guys are so cool. Thanks for hanging in. Evidently, a lot of you are enjoying the draft race game. So thank you guys for listening in and loving it. And you guys can keep checking it out there. But for everybody, X is for show, X is for podcast, HTML. You guys can check me out, Nico Action, NICOACTION, Nico Action Music, NICOACTION, MUSAC. 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe, because that pays the bills. But 3 things that keeps you guys alive. Number 1, stay safe, because we love you. Number 2, please be brave. But number 3, evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, incredible. Who you are today, phenoms. But who you are tomorrow, it's going to be as cool as my dog. So until you're as cool as mine and TK's dogs, we'll see you.